Hi, Sinead.
Hi.
Sinead, good morning.
We're not going to
Good
shake
morning.
your hand.
No, we can do this.
Thank you for
Or
being
something.
here at the ABC studios with us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me to join you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're grateful to have you with us, Sinead. Now, I introduced you as a functional medicine nutritionist.
Yes.
What is that? How do you become that? And how did you get into that area?
So in functional medicine, we believe in the power of the body to heal itself given the right tools. The body is a miracle. It wants to feel good. It wants to have energy. It wants to, have the vibrancy of life. But we get in our own way through our nutrition and lifestyle choices. So I wasn't always a functional medicine nutritionist. So in my previous life, I was a corporate investment banker in London and in Amsterdam.
Sounds boring.
So it was very exciting. However, had you known me then, you would never have really believed what I'd gone through in my teenage years. I suffered very badly from chronic depression, but I guess it was never addressed properly, and I never really understood it. As Brene Brown once said, owning our story and loving ourselves is the bravest thing we can do. Okay, until we really open ourselves up and become vulnerable to actually what's going on, that's the only way we can heal. So I never felt understood or even listened to by Western medicine, so I started on my own learning path. I decided I was going to research and figure out what was causing my issues and what I could do about it. So the more I read, the more I learned, the more deeply engrossed in the life of nutrition and wellness I became. So then as a family, we had the opportunity to leave London and move to New York. So I thought, okay, now's a good time for me to now leave my investment banking career behind and go and become a health coach. So I did my master's in holistic wellness so that I could then help other people heal the way I had been. So then I became registered as a holistic health practitioner with the American Association for Drugless Practitioners. And then I went on to specialize in fitness, nutrition, and weight loss management with the National Academy for Sports Medicine. So then 7 years ago, I moved to Utah and started my nutrition and health coaching practice. So now my drive is to really help people figure out what the root causes are of their issues, what we're doing in our lives to feed those issues, and therefore what we can do to heal them.
Well, that's great. On your website,
Yes.
you ask the question. You say, what would it be like if you had clear thinking,
Yeah.
energy, and vitality?
Right.
So I assume that that's what you're helping people get.
Absolutely.
And that actually ties into many of our products.
Yes. Yes.
We know that through the gut-brain connection and butyric acid in our Link product, we not only help heal the gut, but we are actually helping with clearer thinking and energy and vitality through nerve 2 activation. We got together and you told me that you're being approached by companies all the time that would love you to associate with them and to endorse their products that you usually tell them no. Why did you decide to say yes and join us here at Activz?
So in order to so my passion is to help my clients, okay? And so with that in mind, I really have to believe 100% in a product that I'm endorsing. I have, as you mentioned, I've been approached by many companies, many supplement companies, but they've got to align 100% with my philosophy, right? And Activz does that really in two ways. First of all, my belief is that if we can create an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, then we're taking away the breeding ground for illness and disease, right? Illness and disease cannot survive in an environment where there's little or no inflammation, right? Inflammation is the breeding ground for a lot of our issues. So if we can supplement our diets and lifestyles with products that are going to reduce inflammation, like the tetrahydrocurcumin from the Optimum supplement, right? That's perfect, because that's what I believe. That's what I'm trying to help my clients do through their nutritional intake, their exercise, their sleep, their stress management, all of these factors that make up the whole person, right? It's not just food, okay? So there's that side. Also, I believe that the body acts as a whole, right? We can't separate different parts of the body and treat different parts of the body. It doesn't work like that. Everything works in synergy in the body and the mind. So with that in mind, there's a two-way street, a two-way connection between the gut and the brain, right, through the vagus nerve, okay? So if our gut is not working properly, then how are we going to manage stress? How are we going to avoid or heal from anxiety, depression, all of these neurological issues, right? We need to have a healthy gut to have a healthy mind, and that's how the whole body's connected. So with that in mind, the butyric acid in the Link supplement is perfect for what we. Also, the skincare is phenomenal. Why would we put anything on our skin that has chemicals or anything that's not completely natural and healing?
Agreed.
As the largest organ.
Sinead, I want to ask you this question because we're talking about, and it's great that you're so familiar with our trifecta, as we call it, our other products.
Right.
Talking about obesity.
Yes.
What are some of the, we assume that people know, what the problems are associated with that, but what does obesity, what does excessive weight keep us from doing in our lives? Like, what are the problems caused by that?
Well, so people who are obese, as opposed to people at healthy weight, leave themselves wide open to anything from common, normal, everyday ailments like, fatigue, pain, anxiety, irritability, sleeplessness, general unwellness, which for some reason we've come to accept as our norm, right? Anything from those common day ailments to more chronic diseases like cancer, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, gallbladder, stroke, chronic depression, pain, all of these like really serious illnesses.
Yeah.
And obesity leads to all of those. And as you mentioned a few statistics earlier on, our rate of obesity has tripled since 1975.
Yeah.
Right, 42.4%.
During my lifetime.
Right,
Yeah.
42.4% of our adults are obese.
Right.
How did this just happen? Right,
Yeah.
since 2000. So in 2000, our obesity rates were about 30%, and now they're 42.4. Something's gone wrong.
Right.
Okay. So we've got to look at what it is, what's causing that, because it's causing us to have all of these issues that we don't have to accept these as our norm.
Right.
Why not wake up in the morning and feel well rested and feel vibrant and want to get out and exercise and feel happy and positive, but that's not the way people are living right now. We're dealing with so many issues that we don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
And obesity is one of the biggest triggers.
Right. You were talking about inflammation
Yes.
and wanting to remove anything that's inflammatory,
Right.
From your life.
Yes.
And that is being
Yeah.
a great solution for people that are
For
trying
sure.
to fix themselves, frankly, with whatever it is that they have hindering themselves.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about epigenetics,
Yes.
Here in Activz, obviously. And I think that we've talked about this quite a bit, there's a big difference in somebody who is unable to manage their weight, someone who's obese, and their ability to epigenetically evolve properly.
Right, exactly.
Speak to that a little bit. It's the difference. You saw the opening video where we have a caterpillar that, as an example of epigenetic evolution, turns into the butterfly. Right,
Yeah.
it fully expresses itself genetically.
Yeah.
But if we're doing things that keep us from doing
Right.
that, obesity being one of them, 42.5% in the U.S.
Crazy.
is staggering. It's a staggering number.
Yep.
What's the difference between, what do you think? And I probably shouldn't ask you this, but what do you think? What's possible for people if we can maybe improve that, reduce the obesity?
Yes.
Come out with epigenetic products
Right.
and frankly lifestyle recommendations,
Right.
not just products, but lifestyle recommendations that can help them do that. What do you see the future?
Yeah. So we may be predisposed to adiposity, adiposity where we carry the weight, particularly in the middle area. So we may be disposed to, weight gain, obesity, adiposity, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to accept that as as inevitable, right? We have the power to switch our genes on or off through nutrition, environment, lifestyle. Okay. I'm a really great typical case in point here. I recently had my genetic panel tested, and lo and behold, every single issue that I dealt with, the depression and the subsequent inflammatory, digestive, autoimmune issues that came as a result, I was genetically predisposed to all of those. Okay,
wow.
So clearly I switched them on through how I was living at the time, right? But now the good news is that because I've changed my lifestyle, I've surrounded myself with more positive people, got rid of the negativity, managed stress, sleeping patterns much better, exercise, supplements, everything that I've done to heal, I've switched off those genes, right?
Wow.
So there is such power in what we're putting into our bodies and all of the, what I call the primary foods. So secondary foods are foods that we eat. Primary foods are everything else that nourish us. So positivity, sleep, exercise, stress management, all of these things. So if we can work on all of these factors, we can switch off those genes. Okay. The problem with relying on doing that through our food supply, though, right now, is that our food supply has been so messed with, right? Our grains are genetically modified. Our dairy is over-pasteurized. We're living on refined, processed junk food, quite frankly, and trans fats. You know, all of these. Our animals are pumped with hormones, antibiotics, and fed corn and soy. All of these.
You're
things.
making me hungry just hearing you talk about.
But the problem is, gone are the days.
Yeah.
But this is the thing.
Not
We can no longer rely solely on our food sources for adequate nutrition, right? That's why now we have got to supplement.
Right.
Especially if we're dealing with issues and trying to heal with issues like weight loss, right? Relying on food on its own is not enough.
So Sinead, you deal with many people who are kind of like you in the sense that they have lots of issues and they may have gone to Western medicine and others, and maybe we're confused, maybe we're prescribed drugs, maybe just had some things that for whatever reason isn't working out for them.
Right.
So when you deal with these people and help give them tools through coaching, through education, and empowering them, so people are taking off weight, they are getting more fit, they are just changing themselves, really going from maybe a slow-moving, sluggish, kind of fat caterpillar to a higher flying butterfly. What then happens to them? What kind of people were they, and what kind of people do they become in their attitude and outlook?
Yeah. So one of the reasons I do what I do is because to see that progress in people, it's so fulfilling. I can't even describe it. It seems overwhelming for people at the beginning when they're faced with these issues, or they're faced with whatever diagnosis, or they realize, they step on the scale and they realize, oh my goodness, this got way out of control. But I say to them, look, start where you are and not where you want to be, okay? It's much easier to take the first step than it is to run a marathon. So let's look at the symptoms first of all. What are you dealing with every day, okay? Now let's look at, okay, what's your food intake like? Talk me through your day. Where does exercise fit in? What time do you go to bed at? Who are you surrounded by? Like all of these factors that make up the whole person, right? So then I help them join the dots between how they're living and what their symptoms are, okay? And then the light bulb goes off. Then they see, okay, right, we really need to make a change. So we start with incremental changes, and that's key. I can't hand someone a piece of paper and say, here you go, do X, Y, and Z, and it's all going to be better and you're going to lose 50 pounds, right? Yeah. We didn't create these issues overnight, so we're not going to heal them overnight. It's going to take a little bit of time, and it's got to be an incremental, realistic approach. And that's where I think looking at all aspects bit by bit as we go along is really important. So, incorporating more fruit and vegetables as snacks instead of chips, cookies, crackers. Let's maybe have water, herbal tea, and vegetable juice instead of soda and caffeine, right? All of these things, right? Then let's also supplement every day as we go along, right? Because the body needs a little bit of extra charge when it comes to healing or losing weight, right? So we've got to supplement. We've got to, do all the other primary food things that we talked about also.
Right.
So it sounds like you provide them with tools,
Yes.
a strategy and then tools.
Yes,
And
yes.
and so I think that's where Airo, our new product, comes in.
Yes,
We the ingredients that we chose
Yeah.
in consultation with scientists and talking with people like you
Yeah.
and you about these things.
Yeah.
We wanted there to be tools actually in the formula. So
Yeah.
we know that attacking weight loss is kind of a multifaceted thing. So that's why we included, some ingredients that people are pretty familiar with, like citrus aurantium or bitter orange and chromium picolinate to control cravings and appetite control. We put in some metabolic activators in the form of guarana and B vitamins, so people can get natural energy and rev up your metabolism in a way that is healthy and invigorating for people.
Yep.
One of the ingredients that people are probably not too familiar with is African mango, which has shown an amazing capacity for appetite control.
Yep.
And then, like you said, we're not getting vitamins and minerals from our food source.
Not
So we felt that especially if people are not eating food, they need to be recharged with vitamins and minerals. So as you looked at our formula, and you haven't had a chance to use it yet, nobody else has either. But what were your impressions, and how do you envision utilizing it with your clients?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to use it as part of my clients' weight loss regime. There are a few particular ingredients that I really love about it. The African mango and this inulin fiber in there too, right? So they're both soluble fibers. So what soluble fiber does in the body is it slows down digestion, allowing the body to absorb more of the nutrients from food, right? Also, it increases elimination. So both of these things are super important for detox and weight loss, right? So that's hugely beneficial. Also, because of the soluble fiber in the African mango and the inulin, it increases our satiety. Okay, one of the biggest contributors to weight gain and obesity is that we're snacking constantly. Okay, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we have bread, cereal, pasta, right? High carbohydrate, high glycemic load foods, right? Spike our blood sugar, spike our insulin, force our body to gain weight. And also, by the way, when we have these insulin roller coasters, we have inflammation, okay? Right, adding to our problem. Then in between, we have chips, cookies, crackers, and soda, right? So our bodies never get a chance to actually get into fat burning mode because we're just constantly putting food in, and then the body relies on the next influx of carb for energy. So we're forced into fat storing the whole time, okay? If we can increase our fiber, right, we increase our satiety, so it means that we can go for longer without actually having to put fuel in, and then that we retrain the body to become what we call fat adapted, so it starts tapping into its own resources for fuel whenever it needs energy. So anyway, I love that about those ingredients. The chromium, fantastic for improving our insulin sensitivity, right, which is a huge problem, obesity and then type 2 diabetes from there. And so manages our blood sugars.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited to get this in your hands. We know that you actually, because you work with doctors and nurses, they wanted to make sure that they were comfortable for use in the clinic, and it passed with flying colors. They were excited about utilizing that. So Ryan, it's interesting. I was thinking about this as I was listening to Sinead. Your clients are so lucky to have someone like you that not only knows a lot, has been through a lot, so they can relate to it, but obviously really cares about their success and is instrumental. And even though we can get Airo in the hands of everybody, and we'll have videos and things from going forward with Sinead, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if some of our distributors had the opportunity to work directly with Sinead? There's got to be a way that we can do that.
Well, I agree, and what a great idea you're just coming up with right now, David. Wow. I love it. I'm listening to both of you and what Sinead was saying about, looking forward to having your patients, your clients, use this. So, boy, we're really excited to have everybody in the Activz family begin to use this along with the trifecta and really, really make a dent on improving their health and wellness. I think there's something we can do, David. Why don't we? First of all, you've been incredibly gracious, and we want to thank you for sharing all this. I think a lot of our distributors would love to get to know you as well, and we look forward to having you in future events like this. I also think that what we ought to do, David, is why don't we do this? right now that everybody's watching this and getting to know Sinead Urwin for the first time ever as part of the Activz family, we're going to help you. We're gonna create a way for you to get to know Airo before it's launched, because it will be available for the new year. We're going to be launching it and shipping it in January. But we think we can get available to some of you in the beginning of December. And we don't. And how would you like to be coached by Sinead? You know, I know that you already have people that you coach, and I'm going to take some liberties here, but I think that you've expressed a willingness to coach some of our distributors.
Yes.
So what we ought to do is, for anybody this month, the month of November, and you still have a third left in the month, right? A good solid 9-10 days left in the month. Our top enrollers, right? Top 10 enrollers will be coached by Sinead Urwin for a month, and you'll get a month's supply of Airo, your very own metabolic activator. So I think that that's something we can do for everybody right now.
I think that's great. We have limited quantities for people to use, and January is perfect because that's, you know, you're going to be in the holidays and people aren't always as disciplined. Speaking for myself, but some people might want to get a jump start and have their appetite controlled as you're approaching the Christmas feast and all those goodies. So, in addition to people who are like the top 10, I want to give everybody a chance. So let's also have some wild card positions.
Perfect.
So why don't we do this? The top 10 enrollers automatically get the coaching with Sinead, and why don't we also say that 5 more people, anybody who enrolls anybody for the rest of the month, we'll put your name in. We'll have a raffle, and we'll make that available to for people as well.
I love it, Sinead. What do you think about that? Are you good with it?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, let's do it. It's officially announced, and beginning January we'll be shipping the product to everybody. But 15 of you will be coached by Sinead during the month of December, and you'll get a month's supply of Airo. So, thank you so much. It's been,
Sinead, thanks a lot.
For me, great to sit down and just listen to you. We look forward to working with you. Any closing remarks before we move on?
Well, just this. You know, we say all the time that we believe that we have the best products out there, but we also say that our absolutely best product is really our people, more than anything else. And you fit into the Activz family. I hope I didn't insult you by saying that, but but we believe that we've got great people who are trying to do great things for people, and that's what it's all about. So thanks for joining us here today, Sinead.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Sinead.
Thank you.